What's up, guys? My name's AJ Woolley. I'm the offensive line coach here at Pace University. Thanks to Blockers O-Line Academy for putting this on today. Going to talk some offensive line philosophy. Let me share this screen here. Take this floating thing off. Okay. All right. Talking offensive line philosophy here at Pace University football. Quote here at the bottom. Really great quote that I like to include, in some meetings and manuals and things like that. There's no greater feeling than being able to move a man from point A to point B against his will. That's Russ Grimm, NFL offensive lineman, who's in the Hall of Fame. I'll go next here. All right, go through my coaching philosophy a little bit here, or I guess we could start with the background as well. So I've been at Pace for about a year now. Got here right before the COVID stuff started, right at the beginning of March. So been here for about a year now. Before that, been a couple places. Most recently, Sam Houston State as an offensive line GA. Before that, UT Permian Basin tight ends coach, and before that, I coached high school football in East Texas at Pittsburgh High School. When I was in college, I went to LSU, worked with the football program there as a student manager, and played high school football at Austin Westlake High School there in Austin, Texas. So, a little bit about my coaching philosophy here. I won't read all of it. You guys can obviously read it, but I just wanted to hit on a few points, right? In order to create importance, you must emphasize one thing over another, right? So it's my belief that a rugged, physically aggressive mindset is the most important asset of a great offensive line. All right, we'll get into this a little bit later, but you have to be tough to be a successful offensive lineman, and you have to be tough as a unit as well to be a successful offensive line. There's plenty of talented guys out there who don't get it done when it really matters because they're not physically or mentally tough enough. All right. You got to be tough, and it sets the tempo for the whole offense. And that ultimately sets the tempo in many ways for the whole football program. All right. We got to be protectors of not only the quarterback, which is, known by most people, obviously, because we are physically protecting the quarterback, but also we got to protect the running backs, the receivers, the whole football team. Right. Not everyone has what it takes to play on the offensive line. And we tell that to guys all the time, right? Not everyone has what it takes to do what we do. And we got to take pride in that. All right. True football players understand that without the offensive line, you have nothing. All right. We must communicate and understand what each other is thinking and what job they must perform. All right. Very, very important communication on and off the field. All right. We're blue collar guys. All right. Right. If one guy doesn't get the job done, the play cannot be successful. Right. We're one of the very few positions on the football field that four guys could do their job and one guy doesn't. It looks terrible and we all failed. Right. We all five of us have to be working in unison and have to be doing our job in order for us to be successful. All right. In order to be elite, the physical nature of the game is something that we must emphasize on a daily basis. All right. You got to have a blue collar mentality and set the example for the program, like we said. All right. Immediate goal. All right. This is the overarching goal here in many ways. Create the toughest and most prepared offensive line in the country. All right. That's on the field. That's off the field. Preparation, obviously. Toughness, that's mental and physical toughness. All right. No matter how physically talented or technically sound a player is, if they don't have elite toughness, they will always be just good enough to get beat. All right. I'm not, it doesn't matter how good you are in many ways. If you're soft and when it gets hard and you got to dig in on 3rd and 1, you're not tough, you're going to get beat. All right. Coaching the offensive line, my philosophy. All right. I think we got to be a teacher. I got to be a teacher. Coaches, we have to be teachers. All right. Football is overcoached and undertaught. That's a quote I learned when I was in Odessa, UT Permian Basin, right? We got to be a teacher first. Got to be a teacher first, right? Yelling and screaming and cussing and whatever it may be. Obviously, there's a place for that, in the right spot and, within the certain limits, but you got to teach the sport, teach what you want, teach your expectations, teach life, if we're going to get even bigger here. But, you've got to be a teacher and look at it as a teacher. All right. Look at it as a teacher in many ways. All right. Motivator as well. Push buttons, be demanding, accept nothing less than 100% effort. All right. That means we're not making compromises. We're also having fun. We got to get to know them off the field. We got to get to know them off the field, and that helps develop trust. All right. Vince Lombardi quote here. Coaches who can outline plays on a blackboard are a dime a dozen. The ones who win get inside their player and motivate. All right. Family atmosphere. You can only coach a player as hard as you love him. That's one of my favorite kind of sayings or quotes in this entire game because it's so true. All right. I'm going to coach you hard, but I'm going to love you hard too. All right. And that's how it has to be. And no one cares how much you know or will listen to you unless they know how much you love them and how much that you also care about them. All right. We got to be honest and straightforward with the guys. All right. We expect the same from them, but it's got to start at the top in many ways, right? So you got to be honest, you got to be straightforward with the offensive lineman or any player. All right. People will respect you and can typically accept anything you tell them if you know that they care and you're sincere and you're truthful. All right. Once again, building trust by being honest. All right. Be prepared. It's my job to be prepared every day to lead the offensive line. Got to have a detailed plan for every meeting and practice so that I can coach fast and effectively, right? Everything we do, everything that I'm in charge of, everything that we do as a unit or anything like that, I'm prepared going into it, right? I don't go into a meeting just winging it, all right? And I wouldn't expect my players to go into a meeting or a practice just winging it either. All right, you got to be prepared. You got to have a plan. Hey, these are the cut ups we're going to watch. This is why. This is what we're looking to get out of it. All right. And then technician here. I believe in coaching fundamentals that are easy to understand, easy to remember, so that we can play fast and hard. Right. Everyone says that, right? We want to play fast, we want to play hard, we want to do this. We can't overburden them with too much stuff. Right. We'll have a toolbox, we'll have some diversity and things that we can do and give them different, ability to do different things and some different techniques and stuff like that. But we got to have some base fundamentals that they know like the back of their hand. And by the time they graduate from here and finish their eligibility, they've been doing it so long that they that's all they know, and it's all second nature to them. All righty. Teaching approach. All right. We talked about being a teacher more so than a coach in many ways. All right. This quote right here: the offensive line room must be the best learning atmosphere on campus. All right. So what that means is the environment itself has to be conducive to learning. They got to have somewhere to sit. They got to have desks if possible. If not desks, they got to have space to put their notebooks on another chair or whatever it may be, right? Make do with what you got. But you got to have a notepad. You got to have, all feet on the ground, paying attention to the film or the whiteboard or whatever we're working on. It's got to be treated like a classroom. All right. In order to get the most out of it. And that's the expectation, is that, our offensive line room should be the best learning atmosphere on campus. All right. Create football knowledge through developing an atmosphere that truly values knowledge. Get players excited about learning football. Some of the best offensive line meeting rooms that I've been in, the guys are football junkies, and it makes everything so much better because it just builds on itself. It builds on itself, and the guys want to learn more. And as they learn more, they become more excited, and the picture kind of opens for them. Kind of like, I'm sure many of you guys and me myself as a young coach or even as a player in many ways, the more I learn, I'm like, oh shit, your eyes start to open to things, and you get that kind of ball rolling right there, right? And that's what's exciting to me, right? Dominating the guy on 4th and 1 and getting a first down is awesome, and that's a great moment as well. But getting guys excited and really loving this sport like I do and we do as coaches, that's big time as well. All right. Simplify teaching. All right. Categorize schemes. So types of runs, for example, as a general rule, we have 3 types of runs: zone runs, gap scheme runs, and man scheme runs. All right. And we categorize those things together. So our inside zone and our mid zone are different in techniques and stuff that we use in many ways, but they're both zone runs. So a lot of the same principles, a lot of the same rules apply to both mid zone or inside zone. Okay. Same with, power and counter. They're both gap schemes, right? Etc. All right. Use just like same as principle often. All right. I try to do that with everything. You'll get into the year and you start installing some game plan stuff and, doing some different stuff maybe that's outside of your, base camp install or your base, couple weeks install. Try to use just like same as principle just as often as you can, right? Hey, this play it's called this, but it's different, but it's just like this, right? Your technique is just like on this play, right? And try to tie it all together. Like, hey, this new play, there's some different stuff here, but for you at the right tackle spot, it's just like inside zone, right? You're using the same, base drive technique, all right, or whatever it may be. Any chance that you can use just like same as, and take 3 things and put it into one category for the guys, that's where you can kind of speed up that mindset right there, and you can speed up the thinking process and simplify things. All right. Learning atmosphere is important, open and focused. All right. We got to be open to new ideas. We got to be open to learning, and we got to be focused. All right. Use a variety of methodology. All right. So, I listed a bunch right here, but video, right? That's obviously our own videotape, practice film, game film, cut ups, whatever it is. NFL video. That stuff's awesome. Watching guys at the highest level run stuff a certain way. Especially for, some different toolbox stuff that you may use. Like, hey, you know, we normally use an angle set, for example, as a tackle, right? But we'll mix in a jump set. We'll mix in a flat set, different things like that. And using, showing Jason Peters jump setting a guy like, hey, this is what it looks like at the absolute highest level. There's a lot of value to that, especially, if you create these kind of guys, these kind of football players that really, value learning about football, they get excited when it's like, oh, wow, I'm learning the same technique that, Quentin Nelson is learning, right? Or Quentin Nelson is using, right? Guys get excited about that, right? PowerPoints like this one right here, right? Detail what we're doing. Walk through or run through, whatever you want to call it, where you get out, you get there and you're doing it on air, or you're doing it on, your own teammates, and you got, guys standing there serving as a defense, or barrels or cones or whatever the heck it is. Right. Walk through stuff. Love walking through stuff. Very important. Buzz through. That's just a little bit faster than a walkthrough, right? Same idea though. Different learning styles. Right? So, some guys are audio learners, some guys are visual learners, some guys are kinesthetic learners. All right. Hitting all three of those. Show them what you want them to do, have them listen and hear what you want them to do, and then have them walk through it or run through it. All right. So that you're hitting all those different ways that guys learn. All right. And value of repetition, right? We want to rep the shit out of everything that we do. All right. And obviously there's a limit to that because, there's only so much time in a day and you only have so many hours a week and all those kind of things. But you want to be good at what you do. And the main way you get there, in my opinion, is repetition. All right. Big picture learning. We don't just memorize rules, right? I tell guys this all the time. We don't have any left guards in this room. We don't have any right tackles. We have offensive linemen. You got to be able to do everything, right? If someone goes down, the next best offensive lineman is going to come in the game. And, some guys may have to move around or whatever it may be, but we got to have guys that know the offensive line as a whole. All right. And we get that way by not just memorizing rules. All right. Give them a frame of reference, learn the big picture. In order to be a great blocker, you have to have knowledge of the backfield action, the running back's read or the quarterback's read. If he's running the ball, his course that he's taken, passing game, the launch point, right? Where's the quarterback setting up? How does this even, on a whiteboard, hey, the quarterback sets up, between the A gaps at, 6 to 7 yards. Well, different quarterbacks are different, right? You got to understand, hey, who's the guy that we're protecting? Is he a runner? Does he stand in the pocket and deliver the ball no matter what? When he does drift out, which way does it go? Things like that allows you to be so much better as an offensive lineman. All right. Overall concept of the play, right? Hey, this is a shot play. It's a 7-man protection. This is a shot play. We got to hold on. We got to battle our tail off here, right? Understanding the general concept of the play. All right. Teach defensive structure and concepts. All right. Odd front, even front, bare front, those are kind of the three categories that we put stuff into, but understand, overall defensive structure. When I was in high school, offensive line coach, I remember clear as day saying, guys, they have to have a guy for every gap. If they're not gap sound, they're not going to be very good, and it doesn't matter anyway. But understanding that defense has to be gap sound. So, if there's a 5 and a wide linebacker that's normally a 20 backer, and now he's a 50 linebacker, well, someone's got to move into the B gap, right? Understand that guy's out there for a reason, and someone's got to move to take this B gap, right? Individualized learning, right? Like we said before, recognize every single player is different, find what works, right? And that's, just being an attentive teacher, being an attentive coach, whatever you want to call it, and understanding that each guy learns slightly different. And you got it. It's your job to figure out that way that they learn and figure out the way to get them home and have them understand our concepts. All right, 5 strong expectations. So 5 strong is the name for our offensive line here at Pace, like we talked about earlier. That's been going on for well before I got here, and the guys take a lot of pride in it, right? The guys take a ton of pride in that saying, in that nickname, and it's a thing that is going to last after I leave, right? Before I got here, while I'm here, and after I leave, Pace offensive line is known as the 5 strong, right? And kids take to it, all 5 guys coming together. It's a big deal, right? It's a big deal. So our expectations of our unit right here, we've got to be the leaders of the offense and most importantly, the team. All right. have high standards in all aspects of life, right? So that's on the field and that's off the field. That's social life, that's academically, that's everything. All right. There's high expectations. Are you protecting the team and are you protecting the unit or are you not? Right. We don't have a rule book or a player's manual full of 100 different rules here at Pace. We have 3 rules, and the first one is protect the team. Right. If what you're doing is not protecting the team, then ultimately what you're doing is probably wrong. All right. And that goes for the unit as well. But the general idea: protect the team, protect the unit. Right. Create goals and accomplish them together. We go over those our very first meeting of the semester every year. All right. Do not ever skip a step that will make you a champion. All right. Create an identity and a reputation. It's earned. All right. What is our identity now? What do we want it to be? All right. Right now we have an identity, of being tough guys and playing hard and playing physical and stuff. Well, we gotta do that every day in order to keep that as our reputation. All right. That's our goal, is to be known as the tough guys who are blue collar guys and get the job done and find a way to get it done. Well, you got to do that every day for that to stick. All right. Understand the offensive line persona and embrace it. Right. No one cares. Your name's not going to be in the newspaper. No one cares outside of this building, and that's fine. That's who we are. Right. We care. We take care of each other, and that's what we're about. All right. Professional approach to preparation in all areas. All right. So that's, studying film, that's studying your opponent, that's studying yourself, that's getting into your playbook and knowing what to do, right? That's looking for tendencies in your opponent, like we said, right? Professional approach to preparation, very, very, very important. And that's just football, weight room stuff, being in shape when we come back for the semester, right? Class stuff, being ready to go and, being ready for quizzes and tests and assignments and things like that. Be prepared in everything you do, all right? And be the baddest offensive line in the conference and in the country. All right. That's our expectation. And that's one of our goals. All right. What you can expect from me. All right. And I've taken all this from different guys and stuff like that. So I certainly didn't invent any of this, obviously, but I read this once and it kind of struck a chord with me. And I really liked a lot of these things, as a group. So trust, right? You can expect my trust. You already have it. It's yours to lose, right? I trust you guys is what I tell them. On and off the field until you give me a reason not to. All right. Open to suggestions, discussion, share ideas. I want to hear them. And this is legit, right? There's 1,000 ways to skin a cat, right? There's 1,000 different ways to block things. There's 1,000 different ways to pass protect, whatever it may be. Guys that come from other schools or guys that are football junkies and they watch football on Saturdays or Sundays, whatever it is. And they see some different stuff. I love talking to that about them. Obviously there's a time and a place, right? On Saturday at halftime in the locker room, not the time or the place, right? But spring ball, summer, off season type stuff, especially, I love, hey coach, I saw Quentin Nelson. I keep going back to Quentin Nelson because he's a New Jersey guy, and a lot of these guys look up to him in many ways, right? I saw Quentin Nelson do this, in a pass set the other day. What do you think about that, right? That stuff's awesome, right? That's showing me that we're getting to where we want to be, where guys are, football junkies and they want the knowledge and they want to be successful doing, this offensive line craft. I do not coach effort. It's already expected, right? I love to praise you. Give me a reason to, all right? I'll have your back until you give me a reason not to. And that kind of ties back into that first one. All right. I'm here to teach you, not embarrass you. That goes back to being a teacher, not not just coaching the sport, but teaching the sport. Communication, never have to ask what is coach thinking, right? Be open with your guys. Hey, this is what you got to work on. This is why you're not playing, this, that, whatever it may be, and be honest with them. Like we said, if they know that you care about them and they know that, you have their trust and they have your trust and those kind of things, they will, they'll take those kind of things. They have to be coached hard. That's part of how we do things here at Pace, but you got to communicate with them. All right. I'll get every drop of talent out of you. All right. This one right here, I try to recruit players to take your jobs. Don't let me. All right. I should be bringing in guys as freshmen that are talented enough to push anybody on the depth chart and get into the mix and play, especially here at Pace. We play a lot of young guys, right? If we put scholarship money into a guy, we're not going to have that guy sit on the shelf if he's good enough to play. It doesn't matter how old he is. That's hard with the offensive line, as you guys know, but I'm trying to bring in talented players. You got to keep going. Just because you're a junior and you started last year and now you got another year to start. No, it's not how it works. I'm trying to bring in guys, and we're going to bring in guys who are just as talented or maybe more so than you. And you got to keep pushing and you got to keep developing. All right. And then I do not make the depth chart, you do, right? The depth chart is written in sand, is what we like to say. All right. You make the depth chart, changes every day. All right. It's it's a reflection of how hard you're working and how prepared you are. All right. What I expect from you as an offensive lineman here at Pace. All right. Give total effort and work hard in your preparation to obtain peak performance. All right. Got to be dominant in our preparation. All right. Study yourself and your opponent. We hit on that. Know what to do. All right. We hit on that. Preparation is a way of life. Do the right things. All right. And we talked about this: class and academics, social habits, nutrition, right? Making sure we're eating right. We have a nutritionist here on the football program, and she will give guys the plan on how to eat correctly and what to eat and what to avoid. And hey, I'm trying to get my weight up, or I'm trying to get my weight down, whatever it may be. But it's up to you ultimately to implement that and do that and be disciplined with that. All right. Strength and conditioning, doing the things right, doing our lifts, doing our running, doing it right, doing it full effort. Right. And taking care of yourself outside of that so you get the most benefit. Study your playbook, working hard in practice, things like that. Ultimately, everything can be tied to this: do what is best for the team first, the group second, and the individual third, in that order. Right. And that's from what I expect from them and what they should expect from me. All right. Meeting expectations. All right. Punctuality. We got to be on time. All right. We got to be on time. Give yourself some leeway. Be everywhere you need to be a couple minutes early. If it's important to you, you'll find a way. All right. If it's important to you, you'll find a way. If you're tired, stand up. Don't be embarrassed. I'll respect you for it. Right. You know how it goes, middle of camp. Guys are tired, practiced in the morning, maybe, afternoon meetings. And it's kind of that sleepy 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock hour, whatever it is. Right. Stand up. Right. You gotta find a way to stay focused, and overcome the fatigue. And standing up, that just shows that you're man enough to realize, hey, I got to be awake. I got to lock in here during this meeting. All right. Take notes. Can't do so without a notebook, pens, pencils. All right. This little saying right here, I like: people hear 50% of what is said. They understand 50% of what they hear. Right. So we're already on a 25%. They believe 50% of what they understand. They remember 50% of what they believe. Right. All this means is they remember about 6% of what originally was said. Right. That's why we're saying you got to take notes. You got to write down things. And just because it's a coaching point for somebody else and not you necessarily, you should still be writing it down, is what we talk about. All right. You should still be writing those things down. You should still be locked in, even if you're like, oh, I know that. No, write it down. It'll help it stick in your brain, and you'll have it as a reference, obviously. Ask questions. There's someone else thinking the same thing. Contribute to the conversation, right? Be an offensive line junkie. That's what we want. All right. This is a learning environment. All right. And then we talked about this quote here at the bottom. Why we will have success: trust. We always tell each other the truth about everything: communication, speed, football IQ, pride. All right. We believe we're the best and we act like it. All right. Have pride, have confidence, not necessarily cockiness, but have pride and have confidence in what you're doing. Right. Play with a swagger, play with an energy, anyone at any place at any time. None of this requires talent, right? Trust, communication, playing, fast, playing with speed, football IQ, pride, confidence. None of that requires talent. None of that requires talent. Our style: mental and physical toughness, start fast, finish faster, rise up. I like this one a lot. When the lights are brightest, how do we play? And against the best competition, how do you play? All right. Ultimately, that's what really matters. This is a production business, as they say. And ultimately, when the chips are on the line, it's the conference championship game late in the year. We're playing the best team in the conference. Whatever it is, how do you hang? How do you handle that? How do you compete? What is the outcome? That's what really matters. Rise up to occasions, right? Exploit what defenses like to do. Turn their strengths into weaknesses, right? Part of that is learning defense, right? Learning football. Adversity is our friend. Embrace an opportunity to respond. Going back to this: rise up when the lights are the brightest type of deal. All right, discipline. Missed assignments, penalties that are caused by a lack of discipline, right? That's what gets you beat. Like we said, 4 guys could do their job. 1 guy messes up, misses his assignment, has a penalty, whatever. It kills the entire offense. Not just the offensive line, the entire offense. All right, blows up that whole play. Play through the whistle, right? Make the official tell you to stop. Play through the whistle, play with an edge, physically dominate guys and wear them down, right? Make the official tell you to stop. All right. Obviously under control. We're not taking cheap shots at guys or anything like that, but we got to play with an edge. And that's what we're about. All right. And finally here, our unit goals. And we talk about this every semester. We've done it. This first one is very important, right? 3.0 position group GPA, number one in the conference in sacks allowed, number one in the conference in TFL allowed, right? Those two things right there are, in my opinion, very, good indicators of good offensive line play, right? There's obviously some variables here, but use TFLs for run game and sacks for pass games. So you're kind of getting a mix of both. Number one in the conference and least amount of sacks or TFLs, you're doing a good job, right? You're giving your guys a chance to get to the line of scrimmage and beyond. You're avoiding those negative plays that, kill drives, right? Defenses now are taught, or the philosophy is in many ways, like create a negative play at one point in the series of the downs, and that's going to derail the whole drive, right? Defenses aren't trying to hold up and just give up 2 or 3 yards of play. They're trying to get that splash -5, and then that jacks up the whole drive. Well, obviously we got to avoid that. All right. 65% run game efficiency. So an efficient run is a run that gets either 4 yards, or it gets a first down, or it scores a touchdown. All right. We're looking to be at least 65% efficiency in our run game. All right. And then team goals here that we obviously contribute to: win the conference here, win the NE10 conference. And then if you win the conference, you got a pretty good chance to qualify for the national playoffs. All right. And that's our goals. All right. Start off the field and then work our way on the field, small to big. All right. Well, here I appreciate you guys sitting in on this. Like I said, I got to pace here in March, so we haven't had a season yet. Hoping to get some sort of kind of modified spring football this spring. Get some tape and get to work with the guys. But really appreciate you guys sitting in on this. Here's my contact info if you guys want this presentation or anything else of that we do, or of mine or anything like that. Go ahead and reach out, either email right here, awoolley@pace.edu, or just my Twitter handle, which is my name, AJ Woolley. I'd love to talk with you guys a little more. This offensive line philosophy stuff, I think it really matters. The culture that you build in your meeting room, the culture that you have as a unit really, really matters. And it determines in many ways how successful you'll be on the field. Obviously, Jimmy's and Joe's matter, right? Recruiting matters. Those kind of things matter. Scheme matters. But the culture and the philosophy and the mindset that you have in your offensive line unit, and ultimately the whole football program, really matters and really determines in many ways the success that you'll have, and the continued success you'll have, one year to the next kind of thing. So thanks, guys. Appreciate Blockers Academy for having us. It was a great time.